Okay, so today we have Get a Grip on Yourself, 1996 remaster, if that matters at all, by the Stranglers. I've done a couple Stranglers reactions, and actually the feedback has been very nice, which I did not expect. I don't know, but I really enjoyed everything I've heard by the Stranglers so far, just the two songs. But yeah, today we're doing this one, and apparently it's one of their best as well, I've been told. So I am intrigued. So let's get into this, talk about it after, and go. Jesus.
Against the soul. The worst crime that I ever did was play some rock and roll. But the money's no good. Just get a grip on yourself. But the money's no good. Just get a grip on yourself. And you should know.
My gosh. Okay. The Stranglers and Get a Grip on Yourself. Um, so that was very enjoyable. I have to start with that. I really enjoy, obviously, off the top, Dave Greenfield on keyboards. I was going into the song. I saw some comments, saying that this is basically Greenfield's legacy. I mean, this is his best song for the Stranglers. And obviously, I mean, the whole song basically it's centered around his keyboards. It's felt like, and just with it starting off, basically with him, and honestly, I thought it was like an accordion at the start. I was like, what the heck is that? But then, yeah, it's the keyboards. But anyway, and sometimes also, I just wanted to say, just to start off, I feel like keyboardists sometimes are underrated for bands. I think of my favorite bands like The Doors, Ray Manzarek, obviously a great keyboardist. Gray Hawkes from the Cars. One of my favorite all-time songs is "Moving in Stereo," and he's critical in that song. You think of I can't remember the man, the keyboardist from the Animals, but obviously the House of the Rising Sun. Their version is one of the greatest songs of all time as well. And the keyboardist there, I'll probably put his name up on the screen after I edit this. But anyway, yeah, it's just I feel like sometimes a keyboardist is underrated. It's just like yeah, anyway, and obviously here as well, it really shows, what a keyboard means to a rock song, really. Obviously as well, Hugh Cornwell's vocals. I mean, he has that voice, because I know, looking on Wikipedia here, for the inspiration behind this album, which I don't know if I could pronounce the title, Radis Norvegicus, I don't know, it's probably terrible, but anyway, it was saying, the inspiration for this song and basically a lot of this album, was based on the band's life in their Chiddingfold squat. So basically, they were squatters in a small town, whatever, and it's just like, just coming from that background, you kind of get a feel of what I guess the music's going to sound like. It's just very raw. And I also have to say, really like the heavy bass in this song as well. This song just had everything in it that I love. Yeah, it was just very enjoyable, especially, there was a part there where the guitar was kind of, came in, I think you could see, I got startled for a second, because I was lost in Greenfield's keyboard playing, and then all of a sudden Greenfield came back in. It's just, I don't know, there's a sense of like comfort with Greenfield, and especially, with the whole band here, especially with Hugh's vocals as well. The song was really good for me, and I hope it is for you as well. Also, I want to talk about the saxophone as well. Did not expect to hear a saxophone on this track, but again, this is what I'm learning with the Stranglers. You expect the unexpected here. And what's cool here is that it says here on Wikipedia, it features Eric Clark, a Welsh coal miner, on saxophone. So I don't know if Eric Clark was already a musician. I guess he knew how to play the saxophone, but I don't know if the Stranglers kind of gave him, a lift here or what. But anyway, that's kind of cool, a Welsh coal miner playing on a Stranglers track, and a track that a lot of people say is their best track of all time. And again, I guess I can really see why, just with that, with Dave, and again, the lyricism here. I didn't really talk about the lyricism, but I love the lyricism, especially with the first verse when he says, last two lines of the first verse when he says, "Begged and borrowed sometimes, I admit I even stole. The worst crime that I ever did was playing rock and roll." And again, just this time, I guess the song came out in 1977. And even at that time, I guess rock and roll was still kind of taboo or whatever. You still had in like 1985, you had Tipper Gore and was it the PMRC, I want to say? Either way, Parents Against basically rock and roll and all this stuff. And anyway, it's just like, that old kind of trope of like, the worst thing I ever did was play rock and roll. I just love that line, and the way Hugh delivers it. Yeah, just again with Hugh, his voice is so raw, and I don't know, there's not much shine to it. It's just like, it's kind of like, this is what you get. But I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I don't know what that even means. But I'm just saying, it's just a raw voice. It's him. It's like, he's undoubtedly him. He's just delivering his lines so well. And just again, for a band, as it said, they were like squatting, and they were just doing their best here, and it was very good. Again, with the first verse when he said didn't have the money round to buy a Maury Thou, I want to say. And again, there's an annotation here on Genius, which is a Maury Thou. I think I'm saying that right. I can't remember how he said it in the song, but was a small car manufactured in Britain between 56 and 71. And again, it kind of looks like a Volkswagen Beetle, I guess you would say. But again, I guess it was a cheap car, and he couldn't even afford to buy one. So again, it's just like, he's talking about they don't have money. And then, going on about rock and roll, and then the chorus, but the money's no good. Just get a grip on yourself. The money's no good. Just get a grip on yourself. And he's really telling a story here throughout the whole song. So I guess I'll just continue a little bit with the lyrics here, just to my hands. I don't like my hands up like that. But anyway, suffer. What he says in the second verse: suffering convictions on a two-way stretch inside. The air in here is pretty thin. I think I'll go outside. Committed for insanity and crimes against the soul. The worst crime that I ever did was play some rock and roll. And I love how he repeats that again. And there is an annotation here, and basically, it does go on here. It says artists of nearly all genres, including rock and roll, have received a lot of criticism relating the artists to criminals for the music that they make. And it goes on about, every band, talks about Judas Priest here, talks about My Chemical Romance, just criticism a bunch of bands have taken. And, it just comes down to that whole rock and roll. Like I already said, people didn't like rock and roll. I mean, you think about, what was it, when the Beatles in the 1960s, I mean, I know John Lennon, there's that famous quote where he said the Beatles were bigger than Christ, and obviously a lot of Christians get mad at that, and were burning Beatles albums and all stuff. It always just comes down, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just like, it's music. What really it comes down to is just like, I mean, I've done a lot of projects, actually, now I'm just talking about from my own experience, but I have done some projects about that, about like, music and rock and roll, and like how, because you talk about, even talk about Ozzy Osbourne, how like somebody killed himself to an Ozzy Osbourne song, which was called, what was it, Suicide something, I can't remember the name of that either. But again, it's always that kind of thing. It's like, this song, this band made my son kill himself or whatever. It's just this kind of stuff. And but there's really always more to it. I don't think you listen to a band and you hear depressing lyrics and you just think all of a sudden you just want to kill yourself. I mean, I think those thoughts have already been in your mind for a while. Anyway, moving on from that. Anyway, that's basically, and then we have the chorus again, but the money's no good. Just get a grip on yourself, repeat it, and you should know. And that's basically it for that. Anyway, I think I've gone it through everything I really wanted to get through. Again, just to, it can't be overstated here. Dave Greenfield, very well done here. And also, I do see that he passed away last year. I think it was in May, it said on his page, Wikipedia page. And obviously, I mean, there's so many comments on this video about, rest in peace to him, and that this was, this is a very good song because of his part. And that's obviously very true. Anyway, I guess that's about it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking, subscribing, commenting. And, rock and roll. I mean, again, talking about, how people say, rock and roll bands, are all bad. Again, there's so many people that have been saved by rock and roll. I mean, just music in general. And I'm probably one of them. But anyway, I guess that's it. Thanks again for watching. Have a good day or night, wherever you are. And I will talk to you guys again soon.